Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with me. Did you walk out to your coop here a while back, lift up that nesting box lid the same as you done every morning all summer, and find nothing but an empty nest and a cold breeze? And you stood there a minute, thinking, well, maybe they laid somewhere else. Maybe there's a hidden nest under the shed. Then you checked, and there weren't nothing there either. And it hit you. Them birds quit on you. Well, friend, pull up a bucket and sit down, 'cause you ain't alone, and there ain't a thing wrong with your chickens. What you run into is the oldest wall in the whole chicken business: winter. And most folks handle it one of two ways. They either throw their hands up and say, well, that's just nature, and they go right back to buying eggs at the store for 5 months out the year. Or they run out and do a whole bunch of the wrong things. Hang a heat lamp, dump a 50-pound sack of corn in the feeder, wrap that coop up tighter than a Christmas ham, and they still don't get eggs. And now they've got a damp coop, sick birds, and a fire hazard hanging over their heads to boot. Today, we're going to fix that. I've been keeping chickens through cold weather longer than some of y'all have been alive, and I'm going to walk you through exactly why hens quit laying in the winter, what actually turns them back on, and what folks think turns them on that don't do a blessed thing. And I'm going to be straight with you about the trade-offs, too, 'cause there is a trade-off, and anybody who tells you different is selling you something. By the time we're done here, you'll know how to gather eggs in January while your neighbor's standing in the store aisle paying $6 a dozen and grumbling about it. Grab your coffee. This one's worth your time. Now, before we get into fixing it, you got to understand what you're fighting, 'cause you can't beat a thing you don't understand. And most of the bad advice out there comes from folks who never bothered to learn what's actually going on inside that hen. There's 4 things that shut a hen down when the year turns cold, and they're 4 separate things. Folks lump them all together and call it winter, and that's exactly why they can't fix it. First one is daylight. Second one is the molt. Third one is age. And the fourth one is what I call the drains: cold, wet, stress, bugs, bad feed, frozen water, all them little leaks that suck the life out of bird. Now, 3 out of them 4 you can do something about, and the 4th one you can plan around. So let's take them one at a time, and I want you to think about your own flock while I'm talking, 'cause I'd bet you money you've got more than one of these going on at the same time. Start with daylight, 'cause that's the big dog. A hen don't lay eggs on account of the calendar. She lays on account of light. There's a little gland tucked back behind her eye, and that gland reads how many hours of light she's getting. When the days are long, that gland tells her body it's springtime, and springtime means it's a good time to raise up a batch of chicks. So her ovary fires up and she lays. When them days get short, that gland says, well now, it ain't the season, and her body shuts the whole egg factory down and puts them resources into staying alive instead. The number you want to remember is 14. A hen needs somewhere around 15 hours of light to keep laying good and steady. Now in June, up in most of this country, you're getting 16 hours of daylight easy. She's just cranking them out. Come the middle of December, you might be down to 9 hours, maybe less if you're up north. That's a 6-hour drop. 6 hours. And her body reads that just as clear as you read a road sign, and she quits. She ain't sick. She ain't mad at you. She ain't punishing you for something you done. She is doing exactly what God built her to do, which is not waste her body raising chicks in the dead of winter when there ain't a bug or a green blade of grass to be found. So right there's your first big truth. If you want winter eggs, you got to give her the light. Ain't no way around it. Ain't no feed or supplement or magic powder that gets around it. Light is the switch. Now, second thing, the molt. And this one catches folks flat because it happens right when the days are getting short. So they blame it all on the cold and never learn what really happened. Come fall, usually somewhere around the shorter days, a grown hen drops a big mess of her old feathers and grows in a whole new suit. And I want you to understand what that costs her. A feather is near about all protein. She's growing 1,000 or more of them, all at once, out of the same protein pool she'd be putting into egg whites. She cannot do both. Her body picks feathers every single time, 'cause feathers keep her alive through the cold, and eggs don't. So while she's molting, she quits laying, plain and simple. A light molt might set her back 3-4 weeks. A hard molt, where she looks like she got in a fight with a leaf blower and lost, that can shut her down 2, even 3 months. So if your hens quit in October and they're walking around half naked and pitiful looking with feathers all over the coop floor, that ain't the daylight yet. That's the molt. And no amount of light in the world is going to push a molting hen back into lay. She's got to finish the job first. What you can do is help her get through it faster, and I'll tell you exactly how here in a minute when we get to feed. Third thing is age, and this one's the quiet one. A pullet hatched in the spring, say March, April, will come into lay around 5-6 months old, so about September, October. And here's the beautiful part that most folks never learn. That first winter, she does not molt. She's already got her fresh-grown feathers on her, so a spring pullet will lay right straight through her first winter, short days and all, better than any grown hen in your coop. That right there is one of the best-kept secrets in the whole business, and it's free. Don't cost you a nickel extra to hatch or buy your chicks in the spring instead of the middle of summer. Now flip it around. A hen going into her 3rd or 4th winter has done molted 2 or 3 times. Her laying's already dropped off by a good bit even in the good months, and winter just about finishes her for the season. So if your whole flock's the same age, and they're all 4 years old, you can put in every light bulb at the feed store and you still ain't getting many eggs, 'cause them birds are simply past their prime. That's not a winter problem. That's a flock management problem wearing a winter coat. And the fourth thing, the drains. That's cold water, drafty wet coop, mites eating on her all night, crowding, boredom, pecking, worms, poor feed, a possum scaring the daylights out of 'em at 2 in the morning. Every one of them things pulls energy away from egg making. The hen's got a budget, same as you got a budget. She spends first on staying alive, then on staying warm, then on feathers, and whatever's left over, and only what's left over, goes into eggs. Eggs is the last thing on her list. So every drain you plug is more left over in the budget for your basket. Remember that, 'cause that idea right there is the whole ball game. All right, now let's fix it. And we start with the light, 'cause that's the biggest lever you got. Here's how you do it right. You put a light in that coop on a timer, and you bring their total day up to about 14 hours. Not 24, not 16 or 18, 14, maybe 15, and that's plenty. Hens need their dark hours to rest, same as anybody. And running a light around the clock don't get you more eggs. It just gets you wore-out, cranky birds and a bigger power bill. Now here's the part folks get wrong, and it matters. You add that light in the morning, not the evening. Set your timer to come on before daybreak, say 4:30, 5 o'clock, whatever it takes to make up your hours, and let it go off after the sun's good and up. Then in the evening, you let the natural sun go down slow like God intended. Why? 'Cause a chicken cannot see worth a lick in the dark. And if you got a bright light on in the evening and that timer clicks it off all at once, Them birds get caught out on the floor in pitch black, and they'll pile up in a corner instead of roosting. Do that enough nights, and you got pecking, mess, and chilled birds. Add your light in the morning, and the sundown handles itself. As for the bulb, you don't need much. Enough light that you could stand in there and read a newspaper. That's the old rule, and it's a good one. A regular little LED bulb, warm-colored, 9 or 10 watts, is plenty for a small coop. LEDs are the way to go now. They're cheap, they don't hardly use any power, and they don't get hot, which matters more than you think. And listen to me close on this next part, 'cause it's important. Whatever you hang up there, you dust it off, and you check that cord. A coop is a dusty place. Chicken dust builds up on a fixture, and a hot bulb and dry bedding and old feathers all in one place is how barns burn down. Use a proper fixture, mount it solid where a bird can't knock it, keep it up out of reach, and check it every week when you're doing chores. And I'll say this plain, do not use a heat lamp for light. Them things are the #1 cause of coop fires in this country, and it ain't even close. One more thing on light. Ease into it. Don't jump 'em from 9 hours to 14 overnight in one day. Add an hour. Let it ride a few days. Add another. Give their bodies about 2-3 weeks to come around. And here's your patience test. Once you get the light going, it takes a good 3-4 weeks before you see eggs. Her body's got to build them yolks up from scratch, and that takes time. Folks put a light in on Monday, get no eggs by Friday, decide it don't work, and quit right before it was about to pay off. Don't be that fella. Set it up right, then leave it be and let it work. Now, I told you I'd be straight with you. So here's the other side of the light argument, and you deserve to hear it before you go flipping switches. A hen's born with all the yolks she's ever going to have. She don't make more. So when you light her up through the winter, you ain't creating extra eggs out of thin air. You're spending her supply faster. Now, some old-timers will tell you a lighted hen burns out a year sooner. My honest experience over a lot of years is that it's true enough, but it ain't dramatic. You might get a couple more good years of steady laying out of hen you rest every winter, and you'll get more total eggs sooner out of hen you light. Neither one's wrong. It's your operation and your call. Here's how I split it, and you can take it or leave it. If eggs on the table is the point, you got a family to feed and you're tired of buying store eggs in February, light 'em. If them hens are more pets than production, or you're keeping heritage birds and you want them going strong for 6-7 years, let 'em rest. And there's a middle road too, which is what a lot of the smartest folks I know do. You light the young birds and let the old girls take the winter off. Or better yet, you don't light anybody. And instead, you time your hatches so you've always got fresh spring pullets coming into lay in the fall. Them pullets carry your winter for you, natural as can be. No bulb, no timer, no fire risk. That is the prettiest way to do it, if you can manage it. All right, next up, feed. 'Cause this is where I see more money wasted and more eggs lost than anywhere else, and it comes from good intentions. Come the first cold snap, everybody wants to feed corn. Scratch grains, cracked corn, big scoops of it, 'cause somebody's granddaddy said corn keeps a bird warm. And there's a sliver of truth in there. Corn's a carbohydrate, and digesting it does throw off a little body heat. So a handful at dusk on a bitter night ain't a bad thing at all. But here's the trouble. Corn and scratch runs about 8-9% protein. Your layer feeds 16, and it's got the calcium and the vitamins balanced in there. An egg is protein. Feathers are protein. So when you dump a bunch of corn in that feeder, your hens do what any of us would do. They eat the candy and leave the dinner. And now she ain't got the protein to make an egg or grow a feather, and you wonder why the basket's empty. So here's the rule. Layer feed stays the main meal every single day, all winter long, all she wants. Scratch is a treat, and a treat means a small handful per bird tossed out late in the day, and that's all. Think dessert, not supper. Now, during that molt, you do want to bump the protein up.
Switch them over to a feed running 22%. A good grower or a flock raiser feed works fine. Or keep the layer feed and add high-protein extras. Black oil sunflower seeds are cheap, and they love them. Dried mealworms, scrambled eggs, a little canned mackerel or tuna, plain meat scraps. Push that protein and them feathers come in faster, and the faster she finishes feathering, the sooner she's back to laying. That's real money in your pocket for about $10 worth of sunflower seeds. Then there's calcium, and this one's non-negotiable. An eggshell is calcium, and a hen laying in winter, when she's already spending everything she's got just staying warm, will pull calcium straight out her own bones if she has to. So you keep a separate little dish of crushed oyster shell out free choice, always, and let them take what they need. Don't mix it in the feed. They know better than you do what they want.
And crushed eggshell, dried and crumbled up fine, works too, and costs you nothing but a minute at the sink. They also need grit in the winter worse than any other time, 'cause when the ground's froze or covered in snow, they can't pick up their own little stones. And without grit, that gizzard can't grind nothing. So keep grit out too, separate from the oyster shell. 2 little dishes, that's it. And go easy on the kitchen scraps in winter. I know it's tempting, and a bit of leftover oatmeal on a cold morning is a fine thing. But scraps and bread and pasta ain't got the protein or the calcium in them, and a hen that fills up on that ain't eating her feed. Rule of thumb, treats and scraps all together shouldn't be more than about 1/10 of what they eat in a day. Now here's the one nobody talks about enough, and I'd put it right up there with light for how much it matters. Water. A hen's egg is about 3/4 water. A hen that can't drink don't lay. Period. And it don't take long, neither. A laying hen off water for even most of a day will stop, and it can take her a week or 2 to come back around. Now think about your average winter day. You go out at 7 in the morning, you crack the ice off the waterer, you fill it up, and you go to work. By 9:30, it's froze solid again. So them birds get maybe 2 hours of drinking in a 24-hour day. And you're standing there in December scratching your head wondering why they quit on you. I have seen more winter egg baskets ruined by a froze waterer than by anything else. And the fella who owns them birds usually never figures it out. So you fix the water. Best way is a proper heated waterer or a heated base plate under a metal fount. Plug it in, forget it. Done. If you're running electric out there, spend the money. It's the single best dollar you'll spend on winter eggs. No power in the coop? Then you do it the old way, and you do it faithful. Use black rubber feed pans, 'cause rubber you can stomp the ice right out of without busting it, and black soaks up whatever sun there is. Set it where the sun hits. Haul out fresh, warm water 2-3 times a day, morning, noon, and evening. It's a chore, and it's cold, and I have done it 1,000 times and complained the whole way, but it works. And one little trick, a couple ping pong balls floating on top will bob with the wind and keep a thin skin of ice from setting up on a mild day. Won't beat a hard freeze, but it helps. All right, now let's talk about the coop itself, and I need you to hear me on this, 'cause it's where the most well-meaning folks do the most damage. Do not heat your chicken coop. I'm going to say it again. Do not heat your chicken coop. A chicken wears a down coat. She's got a body temperature north of 105 degrees, and she's built for cold better than you or I ever will be. Healthy birds with feathers on and a dry, draft-free place to roost handle single digits just fine, and a good bit colder besides. When you put a heater in there, you do 3 bad things at once. You create a fire risk in the dustiest building on the place. You make birds that never harden off to the cold, so if that heater quits on the coldest night of the year, and that's exactly when they quit, them soft birds can die. And worst of all, you make the air damp. 'Cause here's the real enemy of winter chickens, and it ain't cold, it's damp. Chickens throw off a tremendous amount of moisture, out their breath, out their manure, all night long, packed in a closed-up box. And moist air is what gives you frostbite on combs and wattles, and respiratory sickness, and ammonia that burns their lungs. Cold and dry, a chicken's fine. Cold and wet, she's in trouble. Which means the fix is the opposite of what everybody's instinct says. You don't seal that coop up tight. You ventilate it. You want good openings up high, above the birds' heads, up in the eaves or the gable, so all that damp, warm air rises up and slips right out. And you want the walls down low, at roost level, closed up solid so there ain't no wind blowing across them birds while they sleep. That's the whole trick, and it's simple once it clicks. Draft free where they roost, wide open up above. If you walk in that coop on a cold morning and it smells sharp and feels muggy, and the windows are all sweated up, you ain't got enough ventilation. Open her up more. I know it feels wrong. Do it anyway. While we're in there, look at your roosts. You want a flat 2x4 with a wide side up, or a good stout branch, not a skinny little dowel rod. Reason is, a hen squats down on that roost and covers her own feet with her breast feathers, and that's how she keeps them toes from freezing. She can't do that gripping a narrow pole, and give them plenty of roost length so they can crowd up together on the cold nights, or spread out when it's mild, whichever they want. Then get you some deep bedding down. This is the deep litter method, and it's one of the finest things going. Start with a good 6 inches of pine shavings or chopped straw in the fall, and instead of hauling it all out every week, you just keep adding fresh on top and stirring it up. What happens is that bedding starts composting right there on the floor, slow and gentle, and it puts off a little warmth, and it grows all kinds of good little critters for the birds to scratch after, which keeps them busy. Toss a scoop of scratch in there every morning, and they'll turn it for you free of charge. Come spring, you haul out the finest garden compost you ever seen. Just keep it dry and keep it deep, and if it ever gets damp or smells strong, add more dry bedding and stir. Now, about frostbite. Big single-combed roosters and hens are the ones that get bit. If you keep good ventilation and dry bedding, you'll mostly dodge it. Some folks rub a little petroleum jelly on the combs and wattles before a hard freeze, and it don't hurt nothing, though the honest truth is dry air does more good than grease. And if you live somewhere it gets truly brutal, look at breeds with little combs, the rose-combed birds, 'cause there ain't much there to freeze. Speaking of breeds, Let's talk about who actually earns their keep in the cold. If winter eggs matter to you, you want a heavy-bodied, cold-hardy, good-laying bird. Your sex links and your production reds are hard to beat for pure output. Rhode Island Reds, Black Australorps, Wyandottes, Plymouth Rocks, Orpingtons, Sussex, all solid winter birds with the body mass to handle the cold. If you're way up north where it gets serious, look at the Chanticleer or the Buckeye, which were bred for exactly that and got them little combs. Now them pretty Mediterranean birds like the Leghorn, they'll lay you a pile of eggs, but they're skinny and they got great big combs, and they don't love hard cold. And them fancy ornamental birds with all the fluff and the feathered feet, bless their hearts, they're pretty as a picture, and they'll lay you 2 eggs a week in July and none at all in January. Keep a couple for the joy of it. Just don't count on them for your breakfast. Now let's plug them last few drains, 'cause these are the ones that'll sneak up and rob you blind. Mites and lice. Everybody figures parasites are a summer problem. They ain't. Them bugs live on the bird, in that nice warm feather coat, all winter long. And a coop full of deep bedding is a fine place for them to hide out. A hen that's getting chewed on all night is spending her energy growing blood, not eggs, and she's losing sleep besides. So once a month you go out after dark with a flashlight, you pick up a bird or two, and blow them feathers apart down around the vent and under the wings. You're looking for little specks moving or clumps on the feather shafts down close to the skin. Find them, you treat for it, and you treat the coop too. It's a 10-minute job that can be worth a dozen eggs a week. Worms is the same story. A wormy hen eats good and lays poor, 'cause them worms are taking the groceries. Watch for pale combs, loose droppings, birds that stay thin no matter how much you feed. Then there's stress, and hens are tender about it. A rat running through the coop at night, a possum working at the wire, a coon that comes by every evening and stares at them through the fence, that'll shut a bird down quick. And winter's exactly when every hungry critter in the county comes looking, 'cause there ain't nothing else to eat. So go around that coop with a flashlight in November and find every gap, every loose board, every place a rat's dug under. Hardware cloth, not chicken wire. Chicken wire keeps chickens in. It don't keep a thing out. And boredom. In summer, they're out ranging all day, busy and happy. In winter, they're shut up in a box staring at each other. And bored chickens turn mean. They start pecking each other, pulling feathers, and once they draw blood, you got a real problem. So give them something to do. Hang a head of cabbage on a string about eye level and let them beat it up all day. Toss scratch in the deep litter so they got to hunt for it. Put a flake of alfalfa hay in there to pick apart. Set out a box of dry dirt and wood ash in a corner so they can dust bathe even when the ground's froze. They need that, and it fights mites too. And if you got a sunny, sheltered spot outside, open the door even on cold days. They'll come out and mill around and be all the better for it. Chickens don't mind cold near as much as they mind wind and wet. One more little thing that costs folks eggs, and it's the simplest of all. Gather them eggs more often in the winter. An egg left in a cold nest box will freeze and crack, and a cracked egg on the floor teaches a hen she can eat eggs. And once one hen learns that trick, she'll teach the rest, and you'll never break 'em of it. So go out twice a day if you can. Keep them nests full of good, clean bedding, and get them eggs in the house. So let me put the whole thing together for you, plain and simple, the way I'd do it myself if I was starting fresh this fall. Come late summer, I'd look my flock over honest and count how many young birds I got coming in to lay, 'cause spring pullets are my winter engine. I'd have my hatch timed for March or April, so them pullets start laying in the fall and carry me straight through. I'd bump the protein up during the molt with a flock raiser feed and a bag of sunflower seeds and get them old girls feathered out quick as I could. Along about the 1st of September, before the days got real short, I'd set that timer and start easing the light on in the morning, working up to 14 hours, using a little LED on a solid fixture I dusted off every week. I'd get my heated waterer plugged in and tested before the first freeze, not after. I'd put 6 good inches of dry shavings down and keep adding to it all winter. I'd open up the vents high and close up the drafts low, and I would not put a heater in there, not for nothing. I'd keep layer feed in front of 'em all day and oyster shell and grit on the side, and save the scratch corn for a handful at dusk. I'd walk that coop with a light in November and shut out every rat and coon. I'd check for mites once a month after dark. I'd hang a cabbage up when they got bored, and I'd gather eggs twice a day. Do them things, and I promise you, you'll be carrying eggs in out the cold in January, while everybody else is telling you it can't be done. And here's my last word to you, 'cause I don't want you beating yourself up over it. If you decide to let your hens rest this winter, that ain't failure. That's good stewardship, and you'll have the strongest, healthiest flock on the road come spring. And if you want eggs, then light 'em up and feed 'em right and keep their water thawed, and you'll get 'em. Either way, you know why now. That's what most folks never get. They just stand there at an empty nest box blaming the weather. So there you have it. Light for the switch, protein for the molt, calcium for the shell, water that ain't froze, a coop that's dry and drafty up high and tight down low, young birds coming up behind, and every little drain plugged tight. Ain't magic in it anywhere. Just knowing what a hen needs and giving it to her. If this helped you out, do me a big favor and mash that like button. It truly does help the channel grow so I can keep putting these out. And if you ain't subscribed yet, come on and join us. I put out honest, down-to-earth homestead advice every single week, straight from the farm. No fluff, and nothing I ain't done myself. And you tell me down in the comments, do you light your coop through the winter, or do you let them girls rest? I want to hear both sides, and I read every one of them. Now get on out there and check that waterer before it freezes. Take care of them birds.
That's all for today, folks. If this helped you for your farm, hit the like button, subscribe for more honest farm advice, and I'll see you next time, right here from the farm.